From the SCG for McDonald's Ream Hot Water Triple M Rocks Footy, and this is where Duck dominated when it came to the big games. He just imprinted himself on it. We're going to speak to Duck in a minute. He's got so much stuff to go with off the top. Jay-Z has done his top 100 at Money Earners. I love that. Ross Lyon is going to be here as well. Lee Montagna, he's taken the world by storm at the moment. We've got Angus Brayshaw coming up. Jay-Z's big three. Sydney assistant Dean Cox. Duck up against Jay-Z in the quiz. Hitch Your Caravan is back, sponsored, and retired Collingwood defender Jordan Roughhead, who's the senior assistant of the Magpies AFLW side. But let's get straight into it because it is a massive game. They don't come much bigger than this. Collingwood can go to second or Sydney can go up there. Collingwood go to fifth if they lose. It's exciting.
Great to see Nate's up and about today.
Anyone just bother to talk after that?
You are up and about,
That was a great intro.
You're going to lift the spirits.
We coordinated on that.
Jay-Z's still thinking about his
You're
ankle.
going to lift
I've
everyone
worked
today.
out, Brownie, when you do that, you got to name someone. You got to get them to
Okay.
put their
Because
head
we're
down.
respectful. I look over the captain of the team, Dark, who embraces us and leads. I was looking, mate. Get going.
Excuse me. I would officially like to. I'd officially like to actually right now say that Joey. I'm naming Joey as my partner in the quiz. So I'm taking him.
What's happened to your voice, Duck? What's happened to your
As
voice?
the first draft pick. No, it's been going for a couple of days, and I actually had last night off, but couldn't get today off. So here I am.
Sorry to put you through it.
As tough and as courageous as ever, Brownie. Not too many blokes would, but no, I'm not sick at all. I've just got a bit of a husky voice.
Anything to do with last weekend?
No, nothing to do with that. But I'm really happy to see that I've been dropped off the A-list. I never even thought I was on the A-list, to be honest.
Well, I didn't want to bring that up with you. I'm glad you raised it yourself. During the week, they brought out a new A-list in the Herald Sun, and Melbourne's A-list.
Well, that'd be a long list.
And unfortunately, our man, apparently he was A-list, but he's been taken off
Post
the
50.
A-list.
Once you're over 50, then you just start to drop down
I've
the list.
always been a C grade.
No, you haven't.
Well, even when you get
Not
all
to
that
me, you
work,
haven't. Not to me.
even when you get the work.
Not in your mind.
Okay, well, anyway, I was shattered when I read that, Brownie.
Do you think that Jay-Z, he had a big week, he's done his top 100, do you think he had anything to do with the A-list as well?
So you're in my triple A list, Duck.
You still get invites,
you know
Duck,
where
you still get invites to most of these
I
things.
was
You get
gonna say-
envelopes
I was
coming all
gonna
the
say, I
time.
keep
or-
What were you,
I
Portsy
keep getting
Polo?
the red carpet invites to all the events. I just don't turn up to it. Anyway. No, it's always interesting when you read those types of things. Not that I read it, Brownie, but you're across everything. People's haircuts, whether they've been dropped off an A-list, what their fashion. You called me Roo Boy today when I walked in.
Your head to toe of Nike.
Bit of Nike
It
on.
takes me back to the mid-90s.
Yeah, it does. Although this stuff is sort of not 90s, not that
Right.
style.
Actually, we got an email. There is a Nike sale on at the moment, so maybe Duck just needed to go get the Nike gear on the
Who got an-
discount.
who
There's a
got an
sale.
email?
Yeah.
Did you not get it?
No,
There's
where
a
did it come
discount for
from?
Sale Nike.
Yeah.
So did you go load up?
Who-
Did you
where
need a
did the email
discount?
come from?
It'd be fair to say I'd get a little more than the discount.
Is it
Like
true it's free
athlete
for
for
life?
life.
Is it true it's free for life for you?
No, Nike have been very good to me for a long time, and they continue to look after me. But
And all your family likes getting Christmas presents from Nike.
The Careys in Sylvanis, right? They just decked out in Nike head to
I'll tell you what
toe.
I didn't do is I never abused it. I never abused the Nike contract. So you'd go in there and you had your brother in there and he's trying to back up the truck with all the stuff. But I never did that.
How
but your brother did.
I remember the ad
Dick
you
probably
did.
did.
Yeah, the ad you did with Lordo, where
that was
you're out
fun.
on a driving range. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
And I thought Duck was the better actor in that as well. I thought Lordo was just a bit stiff.
Well, that was his first Nike one, and I'd done the Roo Boy ones with bumping trucks over and all of those different ones. And then Lloydie was the new kid on the block, so we got the Nike contract, and he had the major role in that though. I think he had a few more kicks. Remember, you're kicking it it was like we were driving. It was like
With footies.
it was a
That's right.
footy range, and
Yeah.
hitting the kid in the golf cart or the footy cart. And Lloydo, he's very stiff. He still is a little bit stiff, Lloydo, but he's very funny.
Choice Hotels around the grounds need a break. Book, direct and save with choicehotels.com. So we've got Hawthorn taking on Richmond in a few moments' time. What happens there? So Richmond, Jay-Z, if they win, they play finals football.
They're in, but all eyes on the massive game, Carlton-Collingwood next Sunday. That's the biggest home and away game, round 23, 85,000 the MCG next week. That is going to be an incredible game, an incredible atmosphere between the two arch rivals. You're right, a win for Richmond today is important. It locks them in, of course. Western Bulldogs, they were a bit disappointing yesterday against the Giants, who tried to play keepings off them, but they're still in the hunt. We'll hear from Luke Beveridge a little bit later. But look,
I didn't expect a keynote speech on it, Jay. Just to summarise.
Sorry.
Jeez, someone wake me up.
Big game though today, Jay-Z. Before we get to next Sunday, Collingwood, Carlton, the game today that we're going to cover later, Sydney Collingwood, is massive because
I reckon Jay gave you a bad look then, Ross.
We know you're number one journo, Herald Sun. Don't worry about Robbo.
Whoever wins today finishes second, I think. So that's a massive game
That's
that we're going to
huge.
do later today. Sydney Collingwood's huge.
Haven't we been lucky with the Sunday games? Like we got this one today, and then next week obviously is huge. And I reckon
Collingwood Essendon as well.
Yeah, I know. We've been incredibly lucky this year to have some absolute rippers, and it starts today and finishes next week, Ross. It's our last Sunday next week. Can you believe it?
Well, when I walked in,
disappointing.
when I walked in today, Duck, I said, "Has anybody got anything they want to raise?" And you said, "I've got a couple of things to go with off the top."
I'll tell you what else I've got off the top. Now you say A-lister, and I don't get it. So I've managed to get myself some tickets to Elton John. And also Billy Joel, who's coming. They're both coming to Australia, obviously, and they're pretty big and
Massive.
Let's be honest, I've got the best seats in the house. And but you know the age gap when I get home, I'm all excited, and I said to Jess, I've got Elton John tickets, I've got Billy Joel. She said, "Can you get me Justin Bieber?"
Do a leaper.
Was not happy at all about those the greatest artists going around. She wanted the Beeb.
What are the big?
So you sort of.
What's that saying about the relationship, though?
Well, no, the relationship's fine. It just says I'm old and she's young.
that was where Jay-Z was going.
Hey, Jay-Z, you've got your article, so you've been uneasy about it the whole time. But there's 4 of you I noticed that have been listed on this article. The top 100 earners. It's only early days, but how's the feedback been?
Silence is bliss, that's for sure. When your phone doesn't beep at 6 o'clock in the morning after something like this, it's always good news. So the bottom 50 was out yesterday. The top 50 today, I don't really feel like there's any massive surprises. Martin, Fife, McGovern, etc. Franklin, Grundy is a big story at the moment. Tom
So
Lynch.
go through the top
Yeah,
five.
the
Just
top
slow
five.
it down because
Slow it down in
it's
order.
been hard to find. I must admit, I went online. I tried to find it. You couldn't click through it.
Right.
It was disappointing me. So Ross has found it.
Very accessible there in the Herald Sun website. Get your Sunday Herald Sun today. It's in there, the full detail. But obviously,
$4 for the paper now.
is it? Oh,
Yeah.
Patrick,
I went and got the paper this morning.
$4?
$4 for the Herald Sun.
What can you buy for $4 that has as much content
As
and
much crap.
information and A-list,
Made up
etc.?
crap.
A coffee.
magazine.
I think
Okay,
you'll
let's
find
go through the top 5 one by one.
I kept trying, but you kept interrupting me.
Sorry.
But I'm wary of speaking too long in case Ross is sort of going to give me
Sorry.
another
By the
quid.
way,
So
I was a bit harsh there.
Jeez,
The actual
you wouldn't have
footy,
survived in the kangaroo.
that's
actual
the third
90s.
time I've tried to go. Yes,
the
Dad.
actual footy content is good.
Thanks,
The
mate.
rest of it's crap.
I bought the paper. The top 100 wasn't in there.
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
I read the paper from back to front and I couldn't find it.
So
It was
who's
in the
number
paper
one?
today.
So who's number one?
Let's talk about who's under.
Anyway.
Shea Bolton. Jeez, he's
Yeah,
in
that's-
for a pay rise. $6.50 you had him, man.
That's
Well,
unders.
he's
He's
gonna
at
go.
99 or something, isn't he?
Yeah. He's going to get a big boost on his
Give Jay-Z's platform now.
Sorry.
next contract. I think Tom Stewart also getting unders for the superstar football he plays at the top of the order. It's Dustin Martin, as we know, but you flesh this out. I mean, what does the future hold for Dusty Martin? He's on $1.2 to $1.3 million. He's got a hamstring issue at the moment. Richmond say he's obviously, still dealing with the death of his father, so it's been, a really traumatic time for Dusty, and whether we're going to see him for Richmond next year, I think that's all still to play out. Sydney are saying that they don't have a lot of interest with him. Gold Coast maybe, but I think it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks for Dusty Martin. Jeremy McGovern, number 3, of course, that was a huge deal at West Coast. Lance Franklin, we know the money he's on, and Brody Grundy at number 5. It's become pretty clear that Collingwood don't want to carry that contract
What's he
anymore. 950 average.
50.
So, I think Melbourne are the clear front runner there for his services, and we'll get your opinion on that later. Ross, Tom Lynch at Richmond, of course, next. 6, Jeremy Cameron, superstar footballer. Marcus Bontempelli, 8. Luke Beveridge said last night he's been dealing with some injury issues and a ductor last night. Cornelio, 9. We know the big money the Giants are
on
on.
900.
Yep.
Brad Hill at 12.
Brad Hill, $850,000 to $950,000 a year.
But that's not Brad Hill's fault.
No, absolutely
No,
not. I'm not. Good luck to Brad Hill.
And why recruit someone as a winger and pay him that money and don't play him on the wing? If I'm still fascinated by the answer.
So he's on more than Lachie Neale at the moment, Bradley Hill. And good luck to Brad. You want him to get that money, but the question's got to be asked to St Kilda. So you've got Bradley Hill on big money. You've also got Dan Hanbury on pretty big money. It's a similar thing to what North Melbourne did. They got players in who probably didn't perform to what they expected, paid them big money, and they've got themselves in a bit of a hole.
But what you want them to be, sorry, Brownie, is club decisions. Signed off, governance, goes to the board, yep. And so then everyone's all in because there's a lot of noise about Brad Hill. But Brad Hill was playing elite football, under me. B&F, but
Absolutely
they dived in, brought him back to Melbourne, offered him the big money. You wanted it to be a club decision. And then again, I'll say it again, don't play him in his pet position. Now, I know the wing role's changed a little bit, but he played under Alistair Clarkson. So Ratton and Rath work with him closely. So I don't know how they're not getting the best out of him.
Played at half forward again the other night.
It doesn't make sense to me.
I wouldn't be shocked if Alistair Clarkson taps his shoulder.
Yeah,
And
I wouldn't be shocked.
If he lands at North Melbourne, I think that Brad Hill would be high on his list. I think they caught up mid-year. I think Hilly was dealing with a few issues, and the criticism's been a lot for him over the journey. So I think Clarko and him remain close mates. And if he, as expected, takes over North Melbourne, I reckon there'd be a cup of tea there. Liam Shields is another one. So they're all there, Brownie. I think what's interesting from a club perspective is the different way clubs structure their payments. And at Geelong, it's really unique. They've got sort of two players on big money and Cameron and Dangerfield, and then underneath that level, it is very flat. So Selwood, Hawkins, Blitzarves, Guthrie, Stewart, very flat across that 550, 600 structure, and that has been one of the big key pillars, one of the secrets to their success, and we're seeing them emerge, as you've been saying, Joey, for months now, as the team to beat for this year's premiership.
Do you think they got additional services agreements because they're unique and they're Geelong, and you can't tell me players are just sitting there copping $300,000 under their net worth.
Well, every club's got $1.2 million in ASAs, and the AFL polices this heavily. So when Frank Costa,
okay, so they can. So these figures are just contracts, so they can get ASA. Those guys.
In addition,
that's good.
Yeah. So,
okay,
but the AFL polices this. So I think GWS were trying to arrange a deal with Jeremy Cameron for like huge money, extra $400 on the side, and the AFL said no. So Gary Ablett got a deal knocked on the head with Frank Costa's business.
It's messy. Like Juddy had Vizzy,
which broke the whole system.
That broke the system,
basically.
Why is that?
Well, it was.
That's why they brought in a cap on the ASL.
Yeah, the AFL rejected it. I'm pretty sure.
When I think of Juddy, I think of recycling. That's I think it's worked well.
But I think the interesting bit for me is Essendon. They got two players on $700,000.
Yep.
Hurley and Heppell. So they could have massive salary cap
they got
space.
Room. Shield and Merritt, 800.
And Devon Smith retires.
Yep.
Gee whiz.
So they've been active
They're in the market, aren't they, for key forward?
Yeah. Wow, question I'll ask you about Hawthorn. You look at Hawthorn who are playing right here now, and we heard last year they were trying to get rid of maybe Tom Mitchell, Jager O'Meara, both on $850,000 a year at the moment. So that is a big payout for Hawthorn.
They've also got a lot of other clubs have got a lot of interest in Gunston, who they have to re-sign. I would have thought
Brisbane, and may let Liam Shields go again. He might be tied to Clarkson. I'm told that behind the scenes that Collingwood is the most active club. Graham Wright is flat out on the phones at the moment, so there's certainly plenty happening in there. And
well, they've got two big boys, haven't they? DeGoey.
Yep.
Who's out of contract, is a free agent. So clubs can take him and give up nothing bar salary cap.
That's right, where Grundy has to be a trade.
I know we've asked you this before, but has there ever been a player that's been upset because you've undervalued them?
Not directly.
Not directly.
Not directly. I think Max Gawn had a bit of a go. I'm still asking to see his tax return from that year because I reckon it still was correct. He was the one who was most grumpy, it's fair to say. But Brownie, can we talk about last night's game being the game of the year? It might also have been the call of the year from one of our colleagues. Can we take a listen to Lee Montagna, whose star is absolutely on the rise? Alistair Clarkson's been badgering him. Just take a listen to the 287. He's trying to put his grumpy face on now, like he doesn't like the congratulations and attention.
He
but
brought it
absolutely
to the table.
Have a listen to Lee Montagna's call.
Been in here working on this all morning.
Of that brilliant finish last night.
Gawn tries to punch it forward. Sard sitting off the back.
Ball taps towards Carlton's side of the stoppage. Jake Lever with a head bandage. Picks it up. Screws it into the corridor. Motlop bounces over his head. Melbourne have got the numbers. Jaden Hunt's going to send it inside 50. Ben Brown's top of the square. So's Kozzy Pickett lurking. Can the Blues hang on? Melksham taps it into the park. Kozzy Pickett around the body. He's going to get the goal. You're kidding me. He's going to get the goal. And Melbourne have hit the front.
That's brilliant. Well done, Joey.
You know,
and
why
you just
why
deepened
did
the
we
voice.
play that?
You deepened the voice
I
just
don't
at the
deepen the
end.
voice like you, Brownie.
I
I don't
felt like
deepen
it
the
was
voice
deepening.
like I think I'm
Gotta
Jonathan
You
Brown
know,
right
the
at the
key-
end.
you know what I loved about that, Joey? You said before Kozzy got the ball, Kozzy Pickett's lurking.
He picked it.
He looked
was
lively.
lurking, and then
very
he got
Bruce-like,
it, he
wasn't
got
it?
a few seconds later
Well
and
done,
then
Joe.
kicked the goal. Very
On
good
top
call.
of your game, Joey. Outstanding.
Yeah,
He's
very good.
speed kills though, does it? I'd watch the replay of that.
Yeah.
Nunes was doing his best to
He
find
tried-
him.
he tried
He
hard,
didn't do
Nunes.
much, right? He actually got a tackle
Yeah.
in. Anyone with less speed, ball handling, and kick doesn't take the opportunity.
I think a few people think that Lever deliberately kicked that ball inside the corridor. I reckon he was trying to go in that. He wasn't trying to go exactly where he went.
Dark. You need to watch first
You
crack
reckon he
tonight.
did?
100% it was a set play. You watch tonight.
I
They
tell you-
actually set it up. They set it up beautifully.
I tell you what
Melbourne.
wasn't a
You
set.
watch. You watch.
What wasn't a set play, Joey, was the fact that the bounce nearly bounced over his head. He wasn't trying to bounce it over the guy's head.
I like that piece, but I did read the Melbourne Post said we trained for it, we executed perfectly. Well, if you really break it down, Carlton had control of the ball, miss an uncontested mark.
Yeah, yes.
Melbourne bomb it to a 3v1 down
Melcham
the line. Should
marks
lose it every day of the
Yeah.
week.
He hit him in the head, Lewis.
Tell you
Young.
what, Cristiano Ronaldo would have been happy with that
Joey-
hit around bounds from Lockie Young.
Joey-
Frank Malcolm, wasn't it?
Joey's man that he hitched his caravan to, the best defender in the game, was in that pack, McGovern, and couldn't get a fist on it. One on
I'm
three.
gonna
you
start
hitched
hitching
the
my
wagon to
caravan
McGovern.
to Joey now.
You got
No, I
confused
never
with his
did.
brother.
No,
didn't
I
you?
never
You
did.
said when he was coming back, I thought David Dench was
I
coming
tell
back.
you what, for a big portion of the game last night, McGovern, Lewis Young, and Marchbank did a great job holding up Melbourne. I thought they were super, Carlton. We'll get into it later.
Yep.
I thought the Blues were enormous.
Hey, topic number 2, G. It's going to be a big week of Alistair Clarkson stories as we expect. He will take over the North Melbourne Football Club job. Of course, GWS also interesting, but there's a 5-year deal on the table from the Kangaroos in what would be an absolutely massive coup for this football club. It's been tough. They sucked Brad Scott, David Noble and Reece Shaw, but to land the 4-time premiership coach, it would be, in your words, Duck, an outstanding achievement for the
pretty
club.
romantic, isn't it? I mean, a country kid comes to North Melbourne, tough, hard, little nuggety mid,
Romantic.
played a little bit of down back, it ends up at Melbourne, plays a little bit of footy at Melbourne, and then, like you said, the 4 premierships. So to do the full circle and then end up back at North in the position they're in, and probably in a not dissimilar position that North are in when he started playing. North were, and John Kennedy was the coach, the legend coach, and then he comes back. So there's a lot of romance about this story, and I hope they get it done.
North Melbourne were a lot better yesterday, Joey, against Adelaide. I thought they were almost could have pulled off a huge upset over there at Adelaide Oval. And the performance of Luke Davies-Uniacke, he's a player you've been talking about a lot, and you as well, Duck. I mean, he was likened to Chris Judd with some of his acceleration and burst clearance work.
He's got a great step.
Out of the middle.
The side step is brilliant.
How do you rate him, Joey?
Oh, look, he's coming along beautifully. I mean, I think it's a good reminder. Sometimes we need to be more patient with some of these high-end draft picks than others. Not everyone we've spoken about comes in like Sam Walsh and straight away has an impact. Others take a bit of time. His first 3 years, he was trying to find his feet, Davies-Uniacke. Then last year, we saw some really positive signs, but maybe wasn't able to sustain it for 4 quarters or do it week in, week out. Where this year, his last 10 weeks, his numbers have been enormous, almost 30 disposals a game. His clearance work is a bit Judd-like, where he's able to get from the inside to the outside. Beautiful step and a nice kick. We're seeing their talent now. There's a lot of criticism they didn't have much young talent. I think they actually do have a lot of talent there with Larky and Zerha. They've kicked over 70 goals again between them. That's
What
two
do you mean by now?
Because
Yeah,
early in the
when-
season, there was all the criticism, North Melbourne, Larky's no good and Zerha doesn't
Well, they
play
weren't
But
well.
I think
performing.
we all said they got a midfield. LDU,
Yeah.
you got Simpkin, you got Thomas, you got Horn Francis going, and you got Goldstein in the ruck, and we were like, but what's going
I thought-
on?
yeah,
it was
yeah.
more non-performance,
They were-
wasn't
yeah,
it?
That's
Exactly
right.
right.
I think the criticism wasn't necessarily the talent that's there. It was the criticism was the way they were performing. So when you play poorly,
coaching.
Ross, when you're playing a bad team, you never look good, do you? And you always look better when you start winning games of footy.
So you
I think we're
they've
saying because they're
shined
playing
a little bit under
now, they're
Adams,
playing better footy
Patch
under it. They're
Adams.
playing better offensive footy. We're seeing the talent actually with our eyes and go, yes, the talent is there, even though it was always there. We're now being able to see more.
Well,
of it.
they're playing aggressive, just get after the bloke with the ball, aren't they?
Yeah,
Not
and their
overthinking
ball
it.
movement, they're flowing more. I mean, they've got massive holes, don't get me wrong. Defensively, Clarko needs to put a lot of work into their team defence, but certainly they've got enough offensive flair. We didn't even see Davies Uniacke. We didn't even see Horn Francis or Taron Thomas or Will Phillips, the other top 3 pick. They weren't even out there.
So can I just ask you the question? Is it, and sorry to interrupt you because you've really done the background work, but I heard during the week that Ben Malthouse is not involved in the process at all. So that would worry me if I'm Clarko. I mean, you would, because you're going to work closely with the CEO. It's good to go to the president and the board, but surely there's been some discussion that the CEO sat on and, you come together on a decision. You don't want to go, well, I've been appointed by the president and now I'll meet the CEO. How does that work?
I think what it says, Ross, is, and I say this with great respect to Ben Malthouse, but I think his position might be in some danger, and I think that was quite clear from for the past few months. So it's been a Sonia Hood-led driven mission with Anthony Stevens there, of course. So a huge coup for those, and it'll be for those two. It'll be interesting to see how the how of this story plays out in the post. But I'm not sure that Ben.
They've said Ben's safe.
Yeah.
How did the
what else is she gonna say when he's sitting next to her?
Is he being mischievous,
I
Ross?
think he is being mischievous.
I'm just a media commentator that's looking at all the facts presented in front of me.
How did the Ricky Ponting lunch go? That
I feel like you're being mischievous.
Yeah, I think you made a very good point. I think Ricky Pond. I think.
How did that go?
Yeah,
Let's put the hard stuff to the side then.
I think there is a really good chance there will be change in the CEO position. But the thing is, this is about Alistair Clarkson. He's coming.
And I'm
in.
not advocating for change, by the way. I've got no opinion on it. I'm just
asking a
facilitating the
question.
facts put in front of me like a great old coach.
So we've seen great coaches come into clubs with amazing records and not get the job done. So it's not going to be Alistair Clarkson walks in and everything changes. We've seen this before. I mean, Dennis Pagan went to Carlton. Great coach, Dennis Pagan. Coached you to 2 flags. Couldn't get the job done at Carlton. Similar cattle at the time. So Mick Malthouse went to Carlton. Couldn't get the job done.
There's 2 things that make a difference. Strategy and people. How good's your strategy and how good's your people? And in footy, it's how good's your cattle. Pretty simple. So he'll have the strategy and
bring in his
talent.
own people. Yes, that would be a big part of his control.
So put in a call to Todd Viney this week. He said he's going to wait to see which club Clarko chooses, and then he'll make his decision. I think if it's North Melbourne, which we expect, he'll be involved in a Neil Baum style role. So I think he's a great culture man. He'll be perfect next to Clarko.
Obama's come out with the book.
I saw that. You read that?
No.
He's just relaxing on the farm, Todd Viney, at the moment, isn't he?
Yes, he's got a magnificent property out there. He said, I believe that a couple of clubs have come calling over the past few years. I think be hard to knock back. He's good, mate. But Ben Cunnington was a massive story yesterday. We saw him in tears as he come through the banner. I mean, just an extraordinary comeback from the cancer fight. Of course, we saw him with his beautiful partner and his kids. And Lee Adams said afterwards just what an inspiring effect he had on the whole football club this week.
Yeah, the emotional lift it gave our group at this time of year is fantastic. We thought he was able to impact the game. He had a tear in his eye when he put his jumper back on today, and I think for our young blokes to see that, what it means to play for this footy club, hopefully it has a lasting impression on this group, because we don't want to just give games out to players, we want players to earn games, and for someone to have 12 months of his footy career taken away and to see how much it means to him to get back out there, hopefully that's a lasting memory for a few of our young guys.
I love the fact that Ben Cunnington spoke so strongly about his family as well, and the fact that his wife is such a strong person that kept him going. Cried a couple of times, which made him cry, but you see how tight those two are.
I loved it. And he made the point, we had a newborn baby. It was my 3rd child, and I was diagnosed with the cancer and underwent chemo. Like, as we know, we've all got kids, and like the threat to your family and, as you're the husband, father, it'd just be emotionally devastating, and it was incredible to see him come back.
Nice work, Jay, on the big 3. We're going to head to a break on the Sunday Rub. We've had this segment the whole year. Jay-Z brought it to the table. Yeah. It is all of a sudden got its own sponsor, Everything Caravan and Camping. Head over to everythingcaravancamping.com.au for your chance to win an Opus OP4 camper trailer and prizes valued at more than $45,000.
Have you seen? Duck and Ross Lyon have both just looked at each other and gone, "Oh shit, Hitch My Caravan." They put their hands on their head.
How many times
This
have we
is
done that?
sponsored now.
I
This is
thought I'd read
serious
that wrong
business.
again. I thought I'd read it wrong. You blokes are laughing at me.
No, Duck and Ross made eye contact and both at the same. They went, "Oh no, Hitch My Caravan, we've got."
Look, I made a few calls. I did a bit of research. I got a couple of
Jay,
names.
this is ridiculous now, Jay.
All right, just going to get that out
no.
again. Everything caravan and camping, and just having a look at choice hotels around the grounds at Gary Lyon up there. I'm going to hitch my caravan very quickly to him not wearing that colour combination again.
Green and
Got a
blue.
green
Can I
jacket
go
on
first?
with a
Hang on
blue
a second.
shirt.
Look, I've tried to show some leadership
Blue and
with
green
you
should
two
never be
blokes.
seen.
That's right, Doug.
No, I've got something. I've got one.
Hang on, wait.
We've got an opener. We're going to go to the opener because you blokes laugh.
On Triple M's Sunday Rub. We're hitching the caravan for everything caravan and camping. Get everything you need for your next caravanning, camping and four-wheel drive trip from all the most popular brands at everythingcaravancamping.com.au.
That's it, everything caravan and camping. You want an air conditioner, you want a new fridge, you want a comfy couch, a lantern, anything. That's where you go. It's your one-stop shop. We've tried to set a high standard in this segment all year, and I'm told every week, it's the best segment in the show, the Sunday Rub. I just love it. I love tuning into that. So we have produced at times some gold. And to sort of inspire you before you're about to go and unleash again, Ross, I've been giving out some awards, as you know, Joey and Brownie. I just want to revisit this one from a couple of months ago. And this player in particular was right under the pump at the time, but one of our Sunday Rub members really went into bat for him. So let's take it. This is the kind of standard we want today.
I'm hitching my wagon to Jordan to go.
Caravan.
Caravan. He will handle this. He will take the feedback and he will come back and help drive the Pies
Into the finals.
into the finals.
Ross.
Sorry.
Good, that's why he's the master coach.
Yeah, everyone was piling on at
You're
the
quite
time.
brilliant,
Everyone
Shane.
wanted to go. He gone.
Yeah.
And what does he do?
And
Delivers
now?
the
Vanished.
BOG, 3 goals, 20-odd possessions.
Yes.
In hot demand.
You're quite brilliant, Jordan.
So what have I got for you today? Yeah. What have I got for you? Who did I hitch on? How did O'Driscoll go on?
I'll give you some
Did he
time to
go
think
Hang on.
about one.
Hang
No,
on.
I've got one.
Oh, you got one. Okay.
No, the Saints man. Went to Lockie Neal, nailed him, knocked him over, knocking him over. Winhager, tough as they come.
Kept Tim Kelly to
composed.
4 3 weeks ago.
Bit of Rod Keogh about him. The 17, the bit of the mullet.
I like him. I
Did Guthrie as well.
Did
Cam
Guthrie,
to 22.
did Newcomb.
Good
Love
one.
it.
Well done.
I thought you might have hitched it already.
I
to
like
him.
No,
that.
I hadn't.
like
All right,
that.
sorry. There's
Well,
another one for you.
I'm hitching my.
So who was it again?
How do you pronounce his name? Winhager? What is
That's it, Marcus Windhager.
I'm
Well,
hitching,
tough as they
I'm
come.
hitching my caravan.
You go
to,
next, Duck, okay.
Yeah. Well, Joey, I'll unhitch it if you want because I'm actually hitching it to you.
Oh, here we go.
He's
Yes, you are
up and
desperate.
coming. I tell you what, it was a meltdown last night. Nico, 77. Joey's all class behind the behind the sticks. Best caller of his generation. About to go into basketball. So I'm hitching my caravan to Joey. He's on the rise, and I'll just go on along on his little coattails.
Well, kangaroos
And
couldn't afford it.
so I'm hitching my caravan to you, Joey.
Yeah,
So button it up.
Thanks.
Clarko tried to hitch his caravan to him this week, didn't he?
Everyone's jumping on.
No wonder how Carrie found that out.
So did you like that
Oh,
caravan?
sorry, yeah, that was great.
Did you like that?
Well done, Duck.
Good, Duck. Go, Brownie.
Quick one.
Rabsy gave it to me.
I've got a couple, and I've already said the first one, but I think Richmond can play off in a grand final this year. So since round 6, only Geelong and Collingwood have had better records than Richmond, and those in that time they've lost to Sydney and they led by 33, Cats by 17, Gold Coast by 42, and they lost to North Melbourne. So they're the 4 games they've lost. But I love the fact that Tom Lynch is playing well. Shea Bolton, almost the best player in the game. You got Jack Rewalt probably getting the 3rd or 4th defender. And then you got Cumberland who's playing really good football too.
And
so
Nank's
I
back.
think
When
they
Nank's
can go
going.
heavy. Yeah, I think they've got the right mix. And when Tom Lynch is marking it down the line, a lot revolves around their defenders standing up, though. I admit that. But that is the first one. And then I read things like club bosses violently, the word violently in your program, opposed to Tasmania. I'm hitching my caravan to actually naming and putting your name to it. Don't just violently oppose it behind closed doors. If you're going to say, I violently oppose it, put your name to it and say, I don't like it for these reasons. Otherwise, we don't know what's going on.
Good hitch. Very good.
He got 2.
Can I go next,
Joey?
Jay-Z? I
Yep.
brought in some homework. I did a bit of homework for Hitch Our Caravan because we take
Very
it very
prepared,
seriously.
as you
So What have we all thought of the season this year? Ross, what have you thought of the footy season this year?
I've
How
loved
good's the
it.
footy been?
Loved the rule changes.
How good's the footy been, Duck?
Yeah,
It's
pretty
been
good.
as good a
Great
season
year.
we've had for a
Great
long
year.
time.
Scoring's up.
Scoring's
And
up.
crowds are now coming back on the back of the
So-
elite performance.
Great game last night, probably the game of the year. How good's footy coming in the final. So I open up your paper, Jay-Z, the Herald Sun again, and I see this column from Mick Malthouse. Now, I'm not sure what Mick's been doing, but he must have his grumpy pants on because I open up the newspaper and he's talking about the rule changes. This is in his article today. First of all, the kick-in rule. He says it's absolutely flawed. Why should they run out of the square? It's advantaging the attacking team too much. Sorry, Mick, let's keep the ball locked in the defensive 50 for the whole game. Right. Then he talks about the stand on the mark rule. This is from Mick Malthouse. Speaking of ridiculous rules, the stand on the mark rule is right up there. Has he not noticed what it's done to the game this year? Ball movement, free scoring. Then the 6-6-6 rule. He'll never get his head around it, doesn't like it, thinks it advantages teams with strong forward lines too much. And then he
There's a
said,
revelation.
I thought that was the point. And then he finishes with, there are only 3 ways to score in footy, from stoppages, from turnovers and kick-ins, and all the new rules are favouring the attacking teams and the teams that are already better. It's time to change the rules back to the way they've been for 100 years. So I'm hitching my caravan to one of the worst articles I've read in a long time. Come on, Mick. The game has never been better. We're all lauding it, and he wants to come up with and say how bad these
An
rules
icon
are.
of the game.
Look, I toured with Mick in the international rules. I like Mick, but
Well,
this
in
article,
fairness-
come on, Mick. Why is he so grumpy? The game's in great shape, and he wants to pot all these rules that have made the game so good.
Look, in fairness, Robert Walls was a mentor of mine. He used to write a lot of columns. I said, how do you do it? He said, look, over 22 weeks, I'll probably write 5 that I'm really proud of, really good ones. And then I got, probably about 13 or 14. You go, yeah, they're okay. And then I write 5 stinkers. And I think that's one of the 5.
Sometimes we've all had bad weeks. We've all had bad. I thought, come on, the game's in great
Is that
shape.
fair?
All the rules have improved the game by a mile. So anyway, there you go.
Do you write stinkers?
I know how Rob feels. Fair to say. Very good, very good. I've liked that. Hey, I'm going to hitch my caravan to some tricky conversations at Essendon this week. So Michael Hurley playing in the VFL, as I understand it, after doing the ring around, all the contract stuff the past couple of weeks, be open to going again next year. Might want to keep the boots on and go for another season. Now, of course, this isn't a man who hasn't played AFL footy
Is there a
since
chance for if there is a game next week for him? to
round
play?
18, 2020. Well, it's funny you should mention that, Joey, because how do you have a farewell game for a bloke who's open to playing on next season? You can't really say, Mick, we want to pay respect, like come out and let's do the big hoo-ha when he thinks he's still going to be in the red and black in 2023.
Can you fill it in the background? He had an infected hip.
Yep.
Is it true that he's had a hip replacement?
He's had significant surgery. I didn't know that it had been replaced. Otherwise, he'd be
significant.
Yes, significant surgery. Hasn't played for the best part of 2 years. There's a blood infection, which was life threatening.
It was nasty.
So we take our hats off to the great man for he's come back. He stood by Essendon, in some really dark times. Now, I wouldn't have thought he'd be in Essendon's best 22 next year. Does anyone think Michael Hurley's going to be lining up for them in round 1 next year?
Wouldn't have thought so.
I haven't seen him play. Is
I haven't
he
seen
playing
him train.
VFL footy?
They could do worse though.
Yeah? You keep it. What would you do, Brownie? Keep him on.
Well, he's been a warrior of the football club. How much do they play him bargain basement and just keep him on? I mean, he's a good player,
Especially
if they can get him up.
No, he was a good player.
Yeah, but
he hasn't played
seen
for
him,
2 years.
and we haven't seen him for a long time, so people can come back.
How's he going in the VFL?
I think he's got a way to go.
Okay.
I think. And it's hard to come to the end, and that's why it gets back to that professional development. I feel if you're in shape, it's easier to embrace it. But if you're not, I'm not sure of his situation. But look, he was a top flight player, real leader.
I love
early
comeback
kick.
stories though. I'd love him to come
Very
back.
few
I
wanna
love the Ben
retire.
Cunnington, the Sam Doherty.
Yep.
So you're saying they're going to tap him?
I'm saying it's.
Paddy
I think
McCartan.
it's a
Yep.
tricky conversation that's going to play out at Essendon this week to see if he wants a farewell game. He wants to play on.
You
them.
said the same thing about Paddy McCartan as well.
I
and
did
he's-
not think
And he's
Paddy.
back playing.
Yeah, do you think he could bob up at Carlton or the Bulldogs if he gets tapped?
Hurley, I'd be surprised.
What's the latest with Heppell, Jay-Z?
Yeah, so Gold Coast came hard. I think Essendon had a view that they would be keen on a 1-year deal on sort of modest money. Whether that was seen as respectful or not, I'm not sure. I think as it stands, Heppell particularly probably more likely than not to stay, but I think Essendon might have to just, put a better layer of cream on that contract just to come to somewhere, a position that they're both happy with. Essendon doesn't have a lot of experience next year. If Hurley goes, I think maybe they do need Heppell, although he's probably not guaranteed to play 20 games in the Senior 22 next year. I mean, I think he would be a really good guy to have around the group, so he'd be important. And who will be Essendon's next captain next year? Or you'd think Zach Merritt would be the front runner, Brownie?
Very good addition. What was your favourite? What was your favourite then, Joe?
I liked Ross's win Hager.
You like mine.
No,